Welcome back to Planet Phobia. Today we have another 5 phobias to look at, so let's get into it. Trypanophobia, fear of needles. Name origin, trypano, Greek for puncturing or piercing. This is a very common phobia and surprisingly affects up to 10% of the world's population. This is the fear of needles, pins, and injections. This phobia starts at an early age and can usually be attributed to visiting the doctor's office to receive vaccinations or having blood drawn. Having a fear to this can be a normal reaction in childhood, but as this fear persists into adulthood, that's when a normal reaction to needles can turn into a full-fledged phobia. Often when we receive our first shot at a doctor's office, the space is strange and the person giving us the shot is even stranger. This fact alone is very unsettling and causes its own special fear. Couple that with your parents doing nothing as this stranger causes you pain, and this phobia takes on many layers. We've been taught by teachers and parents to stay away from dirty needles. This is sage advice because dirty needles can transmit diseases. But this learned behavior with negative connotations can stay stuck in our heads. Also, the idea of receiving bad medical news from a blood test can be terrifying. Some phobics receive such a head rush and elevated heart rate from giving blood that they can even faint. The embarrassment of this alone will induce stress in the phobic. Needles can cause us pain and induce stress. They are a very necessary evil though, as we use them to help identify and treat our medical concerns. Living with this phobia and trying to live a healthy life is definitely a burden. Aphinphosmphobia, fear of intimacy. Name origin, Happy, Greek for touch. This is the fear of intimacy or being touched and is closely related to philophobia, the fear of love. This phobia makes it near impossible to develop deep emotional bonds, hindering one's romantic relationships and even friendships. Fearing intimacy or unable to express emotions can be very hard for the other person to understand what is going on with you, and can create the idea that they are doing something wrong. Abandonment issues play a significant role in this phobia. The phobic does not want to become intimate, believing that person will eventually leave them. Another term which is brought up is engulfment, which is the fear that if they enter into a relationship, they will lose their individuality. This phobia creates quite the push and pull in a relationship as the phobic yearns for love and seeks people to share these feelings with, only to push them away whenever they get too close. Growing up in a negative household and watching your parents fight a lot can bring about this phobia. Having difficult relationships in the past or suffering abuse can also trigger this. This phobia brings about a whole host of symptoms including emotional, physical, and cognitive. These phobics truly live within themselves and live a lonely existence. Enochlophobia, fear of crowds. Name origin, ochlo, Greek for crowd. This is a common social phobia and affects many people worldwide. Women seem to be more prone to this phobia than men. Every case of this phobia is different and depends on the individual's thinking patterns. Some may have hesitation at the idea of being in a crowd, while others conjure ideas of hysteria and envision horrible scenes in their head, dreading and completely avoiding crowded areas. Excessive noise is a major issue with phobics, believing they won't be able to hear important information. Also, they feel as though their personal space is being violated, having the sensation that they are stuck and will not be able to break free from the throngs of people. People who are shy tend to suffer from this fear. Some symptoms include fear of being trampled in a crowd, catching a sickness from unwell people, being surrounded by strangers, and feeling insignificant in a crowd of many, almost like you're just a part of the cattle, moving along aimlessly towards your ultimate slaughter. Electorophobia, fear of chickens. Name origin, elector, Greek for rooster. This is the phobia of chickens or other feathered animals and even their eggs. Encountering these animals in the wild or even just seeing images of them will create panic in a phobic. This is a rather rare phobia and typically the fear stems from the live animal, fearing that they may be attacked. Perhaps a chicken ran after you or flew in your face as a child. You may have been scratched or fell down while trying to run away. Now, whenever you see a feathered fiend, your brain signals the fight or flight response and your anxiety becomes too much to handle. With most zoophobias, this one does make sense in as far as we condition ourselves to be weary of things that can hurt us. However, domesticated chickens pose little risk if you keep your wits about you and do not egg them on. Ornithophobia, fear of birds. Name origin, ornis, Greek for bird. The last phobia we looked at was the fear of chickens. This one is the general fear of all birds. Some phobics only fear birds of prey, like hawks and eagles, while others fear more common household birds, like parrots and parakeets. Also, the presence of feathers can spark anxiety for phobics. An experience with an aggressive bird can bring this about, like trying to feed geese or ducks and having them come at you in a dominating manner with loud quacks and trying to bite the food out of your hands. Relating them to a negative experience like seeing crows on a cemetery gate when attending a funeral, or just the mere presence of birds at an accident or other bad event in your life. Negative portrayals can be seen in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, the latter of which sees a raven appear to antagonize the lead character. As he laments his lost love Lenore, the raven constantly repeats the word nevermore. Here is an excerpt. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber's door. "Only this, and nothing more." Images of birds and their supposed mythical abilities are a common trope in folklore. Birds are numerous in our world. Birds are always watching. Birds have the power of flight, and it is said that crows have the intelligence of a 7-year-old child. Maybe this phobia isn't as irrational as we think. That'll wrap it up for this video. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon for the next video.